numbers, dividends, things like that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, okay.
As a licensed professional, this is perfect way of doing it, because it is the way to express your understanding. But it's as a person who is investing is the one who has to do some diligence and do work with their own financial advisor or you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's about conversation, right?
Exactly.
Are we able to see how many people are online and who's and the questions, or is that only you who sees that?
I will be
Okay.
telling you. I will actually name everybody who will be joining us, and so we will let you know how many people reaching out.
Right.
But certainly, unless you wanted to join in on the Facebook.
Ah, no, I'm fine. One screen is enough.
PCA Info Series. And Info Series. Okay, we are going live in 2, 3, 1. Okay. PCA Info Series going live right now, and we are on the go. Perfect. All right. We are live. Let me just confirm we are live so we can have a start of our show so people can join in and have the questions ready. And I want to thank you, everybody who's joining in and sharing with us their time, effort, and energies. It is amazing to know how we are helping other people, making the difference. So we are live now. Okay. What is happening? I don't see it. I don't see it. Can anybody confirm you are seeing us so we can start our program? Yes, perfect. We are live. Awesome. Okay. And Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the PCA live series shows, because I am here to join with you and wanted to know everything all about financial market, small business owners, as well as why we are doing what we're doing in terms of the taxing and the benefit series. We are here live with you. PCA, Pakistan Canadian Association series, is here to provide some in-depth information in terms of what is needed when you are looking for the benefits coming out from Canada. What are the tax implications? How to apply? What are the benefits for you? How to package yourself in front of them? We have a financial advisor who will be able to help you understand what is critical, where's the investing comes in, where's the life and critical insurances comes into the play. And then we have somebody, a small business owner, who will be sharing with you what are the impacts in the small business and why we prefer you to help the small and local business so they can be beneficial to everybody. So please join me and welcome Nick, a financial advisor with Edward Jones. We have Vikas Bulki, our chartered accountant who's having a practice here in London, and we have Shams Sayed, small business owner. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We have several people already join in, and I want you to, introduce yourself. So start from Nick.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Riz. I'm very thankful actually for coming in and joining the call today. The reason I've joined is because, of course, with everything going on right now, we're all in this together. We're learning together. And it is very important to hear from local professionals because there is also a lot of noise out there. And being able to have the questions directly with local professionals, I think it's very valuable. So everybody stay healthy, of course, and I look forward to this.
Awesome. Vikas.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Rizwan bhai, and thank you to PCA for allowing me to join today. There's a lot of confusion with regards to all the incentives that the government has implemented with regards to COVID-19 and how they play out. So I'm very thankful to you for giving me the opportunity to go over them in brief, so that if I could clear any misconceptions, I'd be happy to do so. Just as a background, I'm a chartered accountant. I've worked with Big Four accounting firms. I was with Ernst & Young and KPMG more recently as a senior manager, assisting small and business owners. So yeah, I'm happy to be given the opportunity.
Awesome. Shams Sayed Saab, who don't know you, but go ahead.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum, everybody. As everybody knows, this is a totally different scenario, which we never ever expected, things like that. But we have to stay positive. Like in my past few interviews, I said, but things for small businessmen, definitely it's a little bit of a challenge. We'll talk a little bit more in detail. And the thing is, there is a path which you can see, but there's no destination at this point. So this is a little bit like challenging for the small business people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have almost 22 people joined in, and I want to encourage everybody who is joining in, please share this on your own Facebook page, because we want that other people to see you are joining us, so we can share as much as information. Encourage all your friends and family to join in, because there will be a lot of important information, important information will be coming through, and I do not want anybody to miss it, because Pakistan Canadian Association is making sure that information flow through from your local experts to you. So it is very important for us for next 30 to 40 minutes that we'll spend time together, understanding and learning from each other, making sure it's beneficial from all of us. And while we are doing that, we wanted to help and support our local people here in town. I see Naved Altaf Saab is saying hello to everybody. Ifat Faruqi Sahaba is hello. Please, send us emoji, send us your hello, so we know who is joining in. And we have Hamid Sayed Saab joining in. Thank you so much. Love all the energy, love all the attention to it, because we are here for you. So let me start opening out the question, because I think the biggest question coming through with the first of them is about the CERB checks. So I'm going to ask Vikas, how the CERB checks, the Canadian Emergency Relief Benefit Fund, work for employed individuals? I mean, are they benefits, taxes, qualification? Could you review something of that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And CERB is a very tricky topic right now, because as you'd appreciate, whenever the government passes a law, it looks at the law, it discusses the law, it understands it, and then passes it. And it takes about a couple of months, if not more, for a tax law to be implemented once it's being implemented. Because of what had happened, CERB was passed almost immediately, because the government wanted to help as many individuals as they could in as short of a time as they could. And they wanted actual money to go out to the people. And therefore, if you go online, there's just a couple of questions that you have to respond to when you get the CERB checks. But typically, how CERB works is that if you had $5,000 or more of income in the last fiscal year, or 12 months immediately before you apply, you qualify for the CERB. If your next 4 weeks of income will be $1,000 or less. So if you expect to earn more than $1,000 in the next 4 weeks, you are not eligible for CERB. If you expect to earn less than $1,000, then you are eligible for CERB and you can apply for it. A couple of things here. Number one, because it's for the future. So if you think you will not earn the $1,000 and you apply for it, and then eventually you get employed, something happens and you start earning the $1,000, that means you should not have received the CERB. So what you need to do is return that CERB money back. And there are a couple of ways. If you received it through check, you can return the check. Or if you got it online through your bank, then you just write a check to the government and give it back. And like you mentioned, Rizwan, it is taxable. It will be taxed for fiscal 2021. And how it'll be taxed is it'll be added to your normal salary income. And whatever your basic annual income becomes, it'll be taxed in that. So for example, you receive $8,000 towards the 4 months for CERB, and you have $4,000 of other income. So your total income annually is $12,000. At that point, you will not be paying any taxes because $12,000 is the basic amount at which you start paying taxes. But if you earn $8,000 and you earn $30,000 more, your total income is $38,000. That is when you start paying taxes on that $38,000 based on whatever slab you fall in. So yeah, so it is taxable. You'll have to pay it back to the government if you got it and you didn't need it. But a lot of times there's no criminal proceedings on this right now, as it is for business owners. So if someone has applied for this where they shouldn't have, because they either want, there's a very little chance of people committing fraud, like the government said, but because you misunderstood the law, that you put it that way, and you got the money when you shouldn't have gotten it, the government will ask you to repay the money back.
Okay, awesome. So, there are one thing clarify, because there are some individuals who are self-employed as well as they are working. So kind of two jobs in between. So they are still working, but their self-employment income has reduced to whatever the conditions are. Will they be able to qualify? That's a question coming up. Will they be able to qualify, or if they do, what would be the process or any implication?
So for me right now, that's a gray area because it's not exactly specified that both your income should fall below $1,000. It says or, so self-employment income or salary income. People in that instance can apply. I've seen people apply and they've said that, yes, my my self-employment income has fallen below $1,000 and therefore they are applying for the CERB. Again, like I said, this is not a well thought out law. They just wanted to make sure that as much money goes out to people as soon as possible. So if you want to be sure, there's two things you can do. Number one, you can apply, and obviously if you don't fall in, you can return the money back. But the second thing is that the government has launched a helpline number where you can call them. I think the wait now is about 45 minutes to an hour. So you can call them, discuss this situation with them. Generally, I've seen they allow you to apply for the CERB. And you can apply online with them. Therefore, that's the call that you've done isn't time wasted. So you can apply with them, and the representative can help you apply for the CERB and get the money.
Okay, awesome. So that's you're perfectly right in terms of it, because there are certain things, ambiguities or gray areas. They're continuously correcting it, but obviously it's still taking a little while for do so. We have Nick, financial advisor from Edward Jones. Why don't we ask his question? One of the question is that when the equity markets are down, if someone have the money, and I know there are certain people who have the money, is investing in quality blue chip stock could yield long-term gains, do you think, Nick?
Yes, absolutely, Riza. So it's, it is working closely. And like we talked about before, it's about communication with your financial advisor as well, and your accountant also. But there is still opportunities out there. I mean, we've seen big drops in the markets. We've seen the markets come back up, right? But there is good opportunities out there still. And if you do have cash, and I've had clients where we have some cash sitting before this, it is always a good time. It's hard to time the market, but it is a good time to be invested. And one of the reasons that I always say is we know that there's going to be some continued volatility in the markets. But if you are invested, like you said, in good quality companies, and they do pay a dividend and have a history of paying it for a long period of time, that is called systematic investing, and it takes that emotion out of the market, hoping that you can time it. So every time the dividends get paid out, they're going to be buying more shares of that company at a lower price, right? So you're actually doing the right thing by staying invested in those. So absolutely, I think there's still opportunities.
Awesome. So while you know the markets are down, if they are looking at blue chip company at a cheaper price, this is a good time as long as you have the money spare to do so.
Absolutely. And one thing I would say too is I always go back to thinking, okay, so why are you purchasing or why are you investing into a particular company in the first place, right? And if it's long history of the company, long history of paying the dividends, right? Positive cash flow, like there's all these things that you have to consider. And if that's your original reason, you feel the strength of that company for the long term, then of course it is a good time to invest.
Okay, wonderful. We have a question came up, and again, it's about the CERB check. If you have been getting CERB now, and if you apply, if your employer apply for wage subsidy, does that mean you have to return the CERB? How does that will work?
So generally, your employer will not be able to apply for wage subsidy if you already applied for CERB. So how this works is because the wage subsidy came out at a later time after CERB, then what the government is saying is that you've already made your employee go away, which is why they're now applying for the CERB, and therefore you do not have any employee for which you're applying for wage subsidy. So if you've applied for CERB, but your employer essentially cannot apply for wage subsidy then.
True. So these are very good technicalities, and I'm glad somebody asked this question. So now I'm going to move to our small business owner, Sham Sayed Saab. And, you know, the question is, of course, we have heard it. Of course, we are seeing is the lockdown impacted a lot of business owners. We see the malls are empty. We see the strip malls empty. How has small business impacted your business in terms of loss of revenue? You have to lay off employees, a loss of customer loyalty?
Yes, definitely. I mean, when this thing started, nobody was sure like how long it's going to last, and we were thinking that it's going to open in the mid-April somewhere, but it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer. And I mentioned earlier a couple of times, the big company, they already have their buffer zone. They have different insurances. Small businessmen and small business people, they live on day to day. And I would like to go into different ways of looking into things. Number one is whatever subsidies are available from the government, I will say avail that as long as you qualify for that. As Sakib already mentioned, there's one thing which is a big expense we talk about. The biggest expense for a business owner, small business owner, is the rent. So rent is something which you can apply, but the thing is there's a way to do it, which a lot of people, they don't know about it. Your landlord has to apply for that. And government is giving 50% of that. And out of 50%, still this is a question mark, which we have not got the answer. There's some people say like 25% landlord will absorb and 25% the tenant will give. But most of the cases looks like that is 50% government and 50% will be paying. But you have to go after your landlord, and then he has to apply to get that thing. So this is which tenant cannot do it. It has to go through the landlord. And the other thing is, if your payroll was 20,000 and plus, you can apply for $40,000 loan, which you have to pay within 2 years. And if you pay within 2 years, 10,000 out of that is going to be waived. So you're only going to pay back 30,000. And after 2 years, you'll be only paying 5% interest on that, but you have to pay the full amount. So these are the things which is like short term and available. I know it's not going to help a lot, because if you see any business, their running expenses are way more than that. Plus they have to have their own living costs. They have their own mortgages and all that stuff. And what we are doing as I have different businesses, but I'm just talking about the retail business at this point. What we have done as far as the customer loyalty. So we had a Facebook account in the past, and we had our Instagram. So we are still in touch with our customers. Just keep with us, because the customers are just like a migrating bird. Wherever they see it's a fear, they just migrate and just land somewhere else. And that's what is happening now with the small business people, because customers has to go and find their needs from somewhere else. So they go and find another place. So you have to stay in touch with them. Soon as these things open up, you can always tell them, that we are back. And if you don't have that, start making one. Get in touch with your customer, because once you lose a customer, it takes like years and years to build up again. This is my advice. And be prepared. It's not going to be a smooth road. It's going to be a bumpy road. And when I talk about small business, especially restaurants and bars, they were the one they will be suffering the most, because even they open up, there will be a different lifestyle. So there won't be a lot of people getting together on one place. Still a lot of fears going on, like US opened up in one of the states. Still the restaurant and bar business has not gone back up to the normal. So that's what I say, but we all have to live with it. This is something which no one has expected that's going to happen. And definitely small businessman is suffering. And I will definitely acknowledge at this point the cab drivers. Cab drivers, they don't even qualify for that $40,000 loan because they don't have a payroll.
Yeah, so I want to shout out the people. Shamsbhai, you have given a great insight in terms of the small business owner. I want to say out loud: Zishan Muhammad, Shazia Rizwan, Rufi Raza, Fasahat Wasti, Naila Balki, Sabur Khan. They are all thanking you for setting up this session and providing that information. We have Zeba Amber Saiba, Zain Khan. Hello, everyone. They're saying hello. Thanks for setting up this session for you. Moaz Yunus Chauhan joining in. And one of the questions came just now, going to wage subsidy again. The rent subsidy for small business owners. So maybe both of you can answer, between Shams and Waqas can answer this question, that the rent subsidy, is it only applicable for landlords who have mortgages? So it's correct that others won't qualify? Is that correct?
I don't have an answer for that.
Maybe Waqas, do you know
Yep.
rent subsidy is going to the landlords who have the mortgages only?
No, it's they're both unconnected. You can qualify if a small business owner needs a rent subsidy, they can contact the landlord and they can, irrespective of whether you have a mortgage or not, they're two different things. They're not interrelated. So no, you can still qualify for that. And just on that, one more point, Shams Uncle, you mentioned about 50%, 25%. What I heard was it was supposed to be 25%, not 50%. So if you are bearing the burden of 50%, I would recommend speaking to your landlord or someone, so that it could come down to 25.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
So one of the same terms of going into, Waqas, while I have you, wage subsidy. So the point was that people get off from a CERB and EI, and so they can get on payroll. So they kind of stay connected with their employee relationship remains. So do you think that's the case, right?
Yep. So absolutely. So what you have to remember is when you apply for CERB, you are saying that I will be unemployed for the next 4 weeks, or my income will be less than 1,000 for the next 4 weeks. So if a person has applied for a CERB, that means he's saying I am not employed for the next 4 weeks, and therefore the company cannot apply for the for the employee wage subsidy, because the employee already said I'm not employed for the next 4 weeks. So what can happen is, to your question, the company can go back and start employing that employee back. At that time, the company says, yes, he did apply for the CERB, but now we're employing him back. At that point, the employee will have to return the CERB because that employee's income has increased 1,000 for the next 4 weeks that employee is applied for.
All right, very well explained. Thank you, Waqas. And Nadeem Sohail joined, Rufi Raza joined, Saeed Haider Saab joined, and they're all thanking you for giving you in-depth answer for that. One of the question came in maybe for Nick is, are there, as a small business owner, are there life insurances and the critical insurances sign up has been more? Is it possible? Is it easy? What you are seeing in terms of financial markets?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as life insurance and critical illness, I myself have not seen an increase of it, but we are working. I know a lot of the advisors are either working from home and they're not doing face-to-face, so you're seeing a lot of these WebEx meetings and phone calls. And we have, I know my firm as well, we have moved into doing everything online. So the process itself is easier if folks are concerned, of course, and they want to go through the process of doing this. As well as, you know, if people are still buying homes and looking for life insurance as well too, we're able to do that as we do a WebEx call, and we've adjusted the way that we do business. So it's been a little bit of a change because we are people that like to see each other, and I am a very, you know, I always shake hands when I meet with someone. So it's been killing me over this time that I can't shake hands with anybody, you know. But we are making it work and making it easier for folks to do so.
Okay. Now quickly, if you explain, you know, because the life insurance and mortgage insurance is different, but critical insurance is also different. But critical insurance, what covers them, a person, especially in the small business owner, because they don't have any, you know, the further, what you call the income to rely on. So the critical insurance might be really an eye opener in this specific time now.
It would be. It's so. What has always happened, and it's always case specific with each individual, right? Like you said too, if it's a, you know, a business owner or you know, a family member, higher income earner, right? So if we even take a look at those and what's happening if you know, if people are losing their jobs, who becomes a higher income earner within the house, right? So you also have to take a look at that and say who would be what would make more sense? Who should be covered with critical illness, right? And I think always in the past, what people have thought about is critical illness does tend to be more expensive than life insurance, right? And that's what it always becomes because, you know, if people are buying houses, this is a huge investment for them. And they're thinking, we have bought a house, we're getting life insurance, and now can we afford critical illness on top of it, right? But I think it's a time like this that helps people realize that, you know what, there is better odds that you're gonna, you know, be ill than you would die prior to this, and especially if you're, you know, you're a main income earner and running a business. This is in addition to give you a peace of mind, right? Or you're on mute.
Yes. A quick question actually came right in terms of investment. So I wanted to ask you right away because is this a good time when you're looking at you know, the cheap stock in order to work in I think it's a kind of a specific of people to people on their own you know, circumstances. Good to invest in RSP or TFSA?
That's a fantastic question, Riz. And so you know what, it takes and I'm a strong believer of this, so it takes communication, so continuous communication with your advisor and your accountant as well, right? Because I always say, you know, Vikas can back me on this, right? But two heads are better than one, right? So we have to go back to saying, what is the purpose that you're putting money into an RSP? Is it because you're making a high income and you want to lower that, right? And if there's no need to put it in an RSP based on your income, then a tax-free savings account, because when you look at coming to retirement, when you go to take money from your RSP, you're still going to claim that as income, of course, and pay taxes on it, right? Tax-free savings account, you will not, right? So to me, it's a good balance. I really do like tax-free savings accounts for that reason and more future forward thinking, right? But then you really have to be in close conversation with your accountant as well to say, hey, at this time, you know, maybe I'm not making as much of an income. Does it make sense for me to put money into my RSPs this year? Or does it make more sense to put in a tax-free savings account, right? So I think it's a communication between both professionals to give you the right advice.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect way to put it up with everybody's own perspective, because there might be a possible that you have top up the RSP right now. You don't have you know, ability to gain more tax breaks, or the other part is that you know, you wanted to use that after tax money now in order to inflate your investments and don't have to pay at the terms of retirement. Again, it's a kind of your own strategy, how you are setting yourself up. you must talk to your financial advisor and get that in-depth information about your own personal circumstances.
And you have to, and just one quick thing too, since you're saying that, it's, you know, you go back to what is your current priority. So if somebody is utilizing, you know, credit in order to make ends meet at this current state, then cash is your number one priority, and you need cash to sustain instead of increasing debt, right? So it does come down to an individual, and you really have to know what is the most important thing to you right now, right?
Awesome, awesome. A quick question in terms of you know, small business owners. So Shams, is the government relief package will help you regain your business, do you think, or do you need more time, more efforts?
See, the thing is, the relief package, which is like 40,000 loan, is depend how long this lockdown is going to last. Because 40,000 looks like a big amount for some people, but it can be as small as, like, you know, 1 month, 2 months expense. So it's tell you the truth, I mean, there should be more than that from the government. It's like a rebuilding the infrastructure totally. Like after this, whenever the lockdown is going to be done, it's going to be a rebuilding of the whole new infrastructure. And my calculation is the lifestyle is not going to be the same which we had it in the past. And I was on I cannot mention which, but I was on one of the town hall conference call. There's some few things that are coming up from the government. There will new jobs will be created, which will be about anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 a month. That subsidies will be available to the small business owners because there will be a new style of running the business. So that will be a help. But overall, it's going to be a tight situation for retail, especially I will say the retail business people. Service industry, small service industry, I think they're going to go back to normal because even they will be way busier than the normal one, I will say. But retail business is going to take time to come back to the normal. You are on mute.
All right. Thank you so much, Shams Bhai. You know, one of the question came to me via WhatsApp, and it is again to Vikas. Vikas, is it good to for small business owners, what is the better route to seek benefits? Is it a business loan based subsidy, or asking your employees to go for a CERB or rent coverage? What would be the best way you think it will help?
So there's no best answer. I think ultimately, and Shams will explain this, but ultimately it depends on what your business strategy is, right? If you can afford to keep employees now by paying them something, because you think once this pandemic is over, you can use those employees, and those employees are hard to find, and they're good employees, and you can use them to further your business. Definitely do not get rid of employees, because once pandemic ends, if someone else employs them, then obviously you get rid of those employees. But again, it depends on what your risk appetite is, right? Like if you only have money for the next 6 months to fund your business, then maybe, yeah, try funding for 6 months and see what happens. But if you don't have money and you're going, like if you go bankrupt, if you don't get rid of employees in the next month, then obviously someone cannot realistically have employees. So at the end of the day, I think it depends on what your business strategy is, what you want to do. But I was reading an article yesterday from Jack Ma, who said that this year, the key is survival for business owners. If you can survive this year, then you can thrive next year. But right now, whatever is remaining in this year, focus on survival. So, and CERB is not survival. CERB is you getting rid of employees, and they are applying for CERB to take care of themselves. So if you can apply for other stuff like wage subsidy, rent, mortgage deferral, rent deferral, and stuff like that in order to survive while this pandemic plays out, I'm a strong believer of that. Because it obviously helps the economy in the long term as your business is still there, not closed, but it also helps you retaining amazing employees at the end.
Awesome. I think great advice, and I love it, because I think you hit the nail on the head. And I wanted to shout out Naila, Abdul Hamid Sayed, Sayed Muzaffar Hussain, Abdul Jabbar. They are joining in, and wanted to say thank you for all the in-depth information you are providing. While we're talking about, you mentioned about the business survival at this time, as I was talking to before the show with Nick, we just heard that Hathaway booked that $50 billion loss. I mean, this is the world, the best we call guru in investing, and he's the one who's booking the loss. So right now, I agree with you that survival is the way. And we will look forward for that. But I really love the part where you mentioned that don't send to serve, because employee-employer connection and the training, typically in HR survey, they say it costs between $5,000 to $8,000 to train a customer service rep. So if you lost that training and you have to rehire and retrain them, you're basically going to expense a lot more in order to regain your experience. So great advice. Now, another question between, I think, you and Nick, both of them, for homeowners, if they use that mortgage deferral part of it, right? And there's some part of it some banks are refusing, or there were some questions about it. What would be the best route to take it? What would be the best route to take the mortgage deferral, and what would be the best way to use that money?
So I can answer that. So mortgage deferral is where the bank is deferring your mortgage and not actually giving you physical cash or hard cash. So the whole idea of a mortgage deferral was if someone is unemployed or someone has other expenses, looking after a sick relative, and they can't go to work and they can't earn money, then they can essentially contact their bank and ask for their mortgage to be deferred for up to 6 months, such that they're no longer paying that. And it's not only mortgage; you can defer your car lease payments, you can suspend or put on hold your car insurance payments, and all sorts of. And all of these measures are you not paying actual cash but saving cash in order to pay for your necessities. You're not actually getting any physical cash. But in terms of how you can use that for investing, I'll turn that to Nick.
Thanks, Prakash. It's, you know what, it's tough for me to deferring a mortgage. I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. It is deferring. You're not getting anything. Eventually, you're going to have to pay this back, right? So if you look at for most people, and I think most Canadians, you have to be really structured within your budgets, right? And if you're deferring and you have this inflexing, and first of all, you should try to do everything else before you have to defer those payments, and it's specifically a big investment like a mortgage. That being said, if you must, then I tend to ask the question, well, then do you have enough money to put towards your investments if you've already had to do that as a last choice? Do you know what I mean? So it's not, it's tough to say, yeah, you have more money now, but you're really deferring it to later. Now, if you absolutely wanted to take advantage of the markets at this point in time, and depending, of course, on your portfolio, your age, when are you planning on retiring, all those kind of things that you have to discuss, your risk tolerance, then perhaps you can do systematic investing, right? And hopefully have that increase by the time you have to start paying your mortgage back. So I would say I'm sticking with you on this one too. And I would say, it is defer is the key word there. So if you can do everything else before you have to do that and create a budget so that when you have to be paying that back, that you're able to do it.
Awesome. Great advice. And I love both of the answers, because it's really, again, kind of a generally specific, but again, reach out to both of the professionals, either accountant and financial advisor, to make the right answer for them. I have a question from Sayed Haider Saab for Vikas. They said, I have a limo business and all the limousines are parked, so I lost revenue, but I still paying my car lease money back to the bank with no income. How can I qualify for business loans, as all of my employees who were contract workers and they have stopped working? What advice?
So first of all, what you can do is contact your lease company, and you can actually defer your lease payments depending on who you've leased your cars from. So if you're not using your lease for whatever reason because of COVID-19, and this is not only for business owners, this is for people who have more than one car and if they're stuck at home and they're not using both cars or only using one of the cars for grocery, all of you can contact your lease companies, and they're giving an option to defer payments for up to 2 to 3 months. Again, it's deferral, like Nick said, and I said, it's not, you're not getting actual money, but it's deferral, so you don't have to pay those expenses. But if you're not, I would suggest, if you're looking to apply for a business loan, what I would suggest is, and this is again strictly my suggestion, is not to apply for a business loan right now if you don't have employees to pay for, if you don't have a business that's working right now, because you'll have to pay that business loan back at some point. And if you don't have employees right now, if all your expenses only lease payment that you can defer, then you'll get that loan and you'll just keep it with you and not do anything with it, but still have to pay it back later on. And later on, when you do open business, you might actually need the money, but since you've already gotten the amount of loan, you won't qualify again, so you won't get any more. So try to get your lease deferral. Contact the lease company. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you out. They've helped individuals out. I'm sure they'll help a limousine business owner out too. Defer that for a couple of months, 3 months, and after that is over, see where the situation is, and if you really need to keep, if you really need the money to keep on making your car lease payments, yes, then apply for the loan as a last resort.
And do you think, Vikas, these companies are letting you defer that lease payments?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone I know who has more than one car has contacted their lease companies and they've gotten referral, irrespective of the company. So I've generally seen this all across, and I've never seen a problem where a lease company has said, no, we're not deferring it.
And they also can go with the car insurance company to get the deferral, or kind of a little bit there, because Doug Ford was talking about that too.
So there's two things. So car insurance, how that works is, car insurance is not a month, it's not a lease payment or a finance payment. So you don't have an asset for which you're paying towards something. If you're not using a car, I would strongly recommend suspending your car insurance on that car, because the best benefit it has is you don't have to repay that afterwards, because you're only paying for usage. You're not using it, you're not paying anything. So it's not like a lease that you have to repay at a future point in time. So it's suspended, you don't have to pay for it. Once you start using the car, turn it back on and you start paying it again. So a lot of car insurance companies have this benefit. And this is not pandemic situation, any situation at all. If you're not using a car because you're out of town or whatever, call the car company. They can suspend your insurance for up to 45 days. What they do is they bring it down right to the basic, such that if someone else hits your car or whatever, but you still, depending on the car you have, you still save $100, $150 a month, because now you're at basic instead of at the top level or whatever level you were on. But every car company has this for a minimum period of 45 days. That is extendable after you call them after 45 days and ask them to extend it. So yeah, so every car company has this. Go for this. The other thing that you mentioned, Rizwan bhai, about Doug Ford, what Doug Ford said, and this again, this is not a law. This is based on every car insurance company. So I know some insurance companies that are not looking at this. Some are. I'm not naming any, but yeah, some aren't doing this. But what his vision was that because there's so many less cars on the road right now, your risk is reduced. And because if your risk is reduced, your premium should reduce also. And because of that, logically, your premium should reduce and customers should get a discount on that for up to 25%, 40%, whatever, based on the reduction in traffic. That was what Doug Ford said based on what made sense to him logically, which makes sense, obviously. But no, it's not a law, so not every company is doing this. Some companies are, but you'll have to contact your insurance company for that to see if you qualify for that. But definitely, if you're not using a car, definitely ask for an insurance stop it, because you're paying insurance for a car that's parked in your garage.
Awesome. Sayyid Haider Saab, I hope Vikas and Nick both have explained you really well in terms of your lease payment, as well as the insurance part of it and the business loan. Please comment here to let me know if you have any further question to that, because Saira, Safruddin, Naila, everybody is saying very well explained. Thank you for clearing all ambiguities. I really appreciate that. One of the questions for Nick came in from Fasahat Vasti, and I know the answer, but what sector to invest right now for medium term? A trick question for you, Nick.
So I'll have to say my strategy is 11 different sectors, and you should be diversified across all the different sectors. And this is where you work with your financial advisor and you look at your risk and your objectives in order to do so. As Canadians, we tend to overinvest into the financial sector, for example, or communication sector, or the energy sector, and so we tend to do that. But the most important thing at this time too is rebalancing your portfolios, right? So I always call it, since it's spring and we're all working in our gardens, I always say, and I stole this from a colleague of mine, but it's trim the flowers and pull the weeds, right? So if you've gained in those sectors, for example, the tech sector, this is a perfect time to trim some of those off and perhaps get into the energy sector, but be very careful with that, because they are paying higher dividends, and can they sustain that over a period of time considering what's going on, right? So I think that trimming the flowers and pulling the weeds is what you should be doing to rebalance. But I think diversification is key. So I'm not going to fall into that trap, Riz, of what is the main sector.
Okay, I understand. I understand. As a financial advisor and a registered broker, you have to be very careful in giving any advice, and I truly
Absolutely.
understand. Your terminology, your advice was really great, because trimming from the one where you have gained and adding on where you think that might to your portfolio. So
to increase, just to give you an example too, statistically, a portfolio that's 65% exposure to equity, right, and 35% exposure to the bond market has taken a significantly less of a loss than the Dow has in the most recent downturn in the markets, right? Mm-hmm. So that's just the balance of a portfolio.
Awesome. So we are towards the end of our sessions. We are running at 45 minutes, and you guys have provided a number of information. I got a few of the questions, but one of the last question would be again to the Nick is the question is, should we beef up our RSP using the line of equity or home line of equity money because we have the money?
So and that's short answer, no. And I see where the attractiveness is, because you're getting a low rate here and you have a potential in the markets, and there is opportunities out there. Short answer is no. Long answer is, again, having the conversation with somebody like Vikas, right, and your advisor, and then if you're retiring within 2 years from now and pulling equity to get into the stock market, I mean, goodness gracious, don't do that. But you got to look at the risk tolerance. If you always go back to your objective of your portfolio and what your goal is for the investments in there, they shouldn't change too much during this period of time, right? And to me, that's a bit of a more drastic move, especially as you get older, that you're taking on debt in order to take an opportunity within the market, right? So, but discussions should be had.
Okay, awesome. Vikas, a quick question for you: that will this although people were applying and they got the CERB check, will that 2020, after 2020 filing, will that qualification will be reviewed again? And if so, the government can ask you pay back, or kind of a gray area?
So again, it is a gray area because the government itself doesn't know how they'll do this, because admittedly, a lot of people would have gotten the money when they shouldn't have gotten the money. And to give you an example, I was listening on an anonymous basis. Obviously, I was speaking to a CRA person, a representative who works for CRA, and they said that in a family, they saw 5 people getting $2,000 each applying for CERB, but they also have income. So that representative actually saw money coming in along with other income coming in, but that CRA representative knew it was wrong, but they couldn't stop it, because right now there's no law right now to stop it. Someone applies it, you have to give them the money, irrespective of whether they need it or not, or they qualify for not. So yeah, so that's the law. So what I envision from an accounting perspective will happen is, and this is just my opinion, but what I envision will happen is next year in 2021, when the CRA, because the CRA gets your employment information directly from your employer. So when the CRA will get your employer information, what the CRA should do is look at the employment information and when the salary is coming into your bank account. and then cross match it with when the CERB is coming in. And obviously, if the CERB is coming at the same time, then that someone applied for CERB when they shouldn't have applied for CERB. And that is how they should find out that someone who's applied is not qualified and is applying. But yeah, and again, you need to return it back. Just one thing I'd like to clarify here, as I understand is, if you're eligible to return CERB back, you have to return it back when you are eligible to return it back. So if tomorrow the government comes to you and says you got $2,000 when you shouldn't have gotten it, you need to refund that $2,000 as soon as possible. Whereas the tax on the CERB will be applied next year, and assuming the tax deadline is not extended, that will have to be paid by April 30th, 2021. So the tax on CERB is not due immediately. That's still due on April 30, 2021 when you file your taxes. But if you got CERB when you shouldn't have gotten CERB, that is due as soon as possible.
Holy, so don't get caught in the free money, making sure that you are doing the right thing. Awesome. A quick question to Shams Bhai, how we can help as a community small business owner to keep them afloat. I know we have a number of small restaurants who are small business like yourself in the community. As a community members, how we can help and support small business owners.
Out, but that's not going to help to run their business because sometimes they don't have enough orders. What I will suggest within our community, whoever the small business, we should basically talk to each other, make a small group of that. And at this point, it is very difficult even to determine what direction are we going, first of all. And when we talk about the small business, we think only like, people are having 2 employees. Anybody even have a 20 employees, that's also considered as a small business. And to cope up with, first of all, until this thing is locked down, I don't know how people are going to survive. The best thing is if anybody knows what the other person is doing or what the other person's business, support the other person. Because before we were just fighting our own wars. Now this time is a war which we have to fight it together. So try to help each other as much as you can. And as I say, service industries, anybody who's in service industry, they're more than welcome to contact me because I run a contracting company and a construction company on the side. We have a tremendous amount of service calls in that area. So anybody in service industry, they will be very busy. I will say interlinked, try to join hands together. If let's say, if I know a bar owner and his bar is closed and he's working as helping a other fellow who was his customer just to install drywall. So I will say just interlinking between the businesses and then try to support each other in any way you can.
Awesome, great advice. Thank you so much. And now we are, end of the call. I wanted to say goodbye, and I want you all to say goodbye to everybody with the one advice you wanted to provide in terms of small business owner, in terms of, CERB check or benefits or investing. Go ahead.
So I'll start off. One thing that I wanted to let everyone know is the government has extended the deadline to file your taxes to June 1st, but what I would strongly recommend from an accounting perspective is if you are salaried and you have income tax refund, please do not wait until June 1st to apply. Apply it as soon as you can so that you can get the refund. Also, if you, as you know, government has also introduced 2 new benefits, the additional CCB, the child benefit, and additional GST, HST. Your income tax filing amount determines how much you'll receive for CCB and GST. So if you don't file it this year, then they're going to estimate it based on last year's income, 2018 income, and therefore your amount that you'll get will be based on that. But if you file it, they're going to base it on the most relevant and up-to-date information that they have. So even though the tax deadline is extended, if you have a tax refund that salaried people 99% of the cases do, I would strongly suggest not wait until June 1st and file your taxes as soon as possible.
Nick.
Yeah, and I can say simply keep the lines of communication open. There's a lot of noise out there when it comes to markets, where it comes to what's happening in this current state. So keep the lines of communication open. Connect with your accountant, connect with your advisor. Try and support local businesses as much as you can during this time. And I think most importantly, it becomes tough. You have young kids at home now. You're homeschooling. If you're still working, like myself and my wife, we're telling them to leave the living room every single day. So I don't know how we're impacting them mentally, because they see their parents, but they can't talk to them throughout the day. So I think the important thing is just to take a little bit of time for yourself each day, whether it's working out or going for a walk, and just keep your mental state intact.
Awesome. Shams bhai.
Yeah, I will say again, first of all, as Nick mentioned, that I will say your life is better than everything. So first, don't go in depression and be positive. This is a short time thing. It's going to be over. And what I will suggest is, try to minimize your expense, which you think that it is not necessary. Don't do it. And as it, like, I'm in the housing market at this point. London, luckily, at this point, still not hit as Toronto has been hit. And anybody who's in the renovation business, you know what? Be ready. There's a lot coming for those areas, because a lot of people will be not moving to the new houses. They will just try to do whatever. And as Nick mentioned, a lot of people are asking me the same question, to take out the equity from the whatever they have in the house and use it for something else. And I also very strongly said no. So, because the thing is, you're taking the money out from one pocket and putting another pocket, but this pocket, again, you have to pay more installments. So it's not that
you're acquiring debt in the hope of equity, right?
Yeah. So, and as I said, please try to interconnect with the other businesses, and everybody has my number. And if anybody doesn't know, my other portfolio is I'm the chair for the South Asian Association. So we can also extend our hands out of Pakistani community and join hands and do things together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a number of questions still coming in, but I wanted to quickly, because it's we were destined only for 45 minutes. So Sayyid Sharifuddin, a question: if the situation exists at the end of the year, how the government going to help? I hope not. It's going to last by the end of the year. We are looking forward for a positive trend. I think that the curve is flattening and going down, so hopefully it will be ending. But I believe, the way the way the government is committed to us, the way they actually responded in every bit of pieces, we certainly can understand, especially in Canada, we should be assured that we will be helped. I look forward for that. Sayyid Haider Saab, I'm sorry, I was using your Facebook name, not Sayyid Haider Saab, so I apologize, but I was just using the Facebook name. But I wanted to thank you, all of the gentlemen, to joining in and providing some information, which was amazing, because that is helping other people, everybody, to understand and do better. There were a lot of good questions in terms of serve check, investing, and small business owner. From Pakistani Canadian Association, this series is for you and helping you understand how this will all work and how all of our community members can help each other. I want you to stay blessed in holy month of Ramadan, stay safe, and God bless you. Allah Hafiz.
Okay. Thanks, Riz.
Thank you, guys. It was fun. There was a lot of there was a lot of interaction. There were a lot of people were keep commenting, and it was great. Awesome.
I appreciate this. Anytime you need help or anything like that, just let me know.
I will.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye now.